Mohammed bin Salman isn't just wealthy. He operates in a tier where money stops being countable and starts behaving like leverage. Public estimates float in the hundreds of billions, but those numbers only describe what's visible. The rest sits inside state-backed funds, private holdings, and assets that never touch balance sheets. At that level, luxury isn't about enjoyment. It's about scale, control, and signaling dominance without explanation. That mindset shows up clearly in how he lives outside Saudi Arabia. Near Versailles stands a modern palace built to resemble French royalty, yet designed with contemporary technology and security. The estate cost more than 400 million euros and functions less like a home and more like a fortified ecosystem. Dozens of bedrooms, underground facilities, multiple pools, private entertainment zones, vineyards, and vast grounds exist not for guests, but for autonomy. Everything inside is curated to eliminate dependency on the outside world. Art, materials, architecture, nothing is there by accident. It's ownership expressed through permanence. Then there's mobility. Instead of anchoring wealth to land, MBS extended it onto the sea. A superyacht valued near €500 million moves freely across borders, carrying its own infrastructure with it. Helipads, security teams, private halls, and recreational spaces turn international waters into neutral territory under personal control. This is where one of the most controversial art acquisitions in modern history ended up. After selling for $400 million, Leonardo da Vinci's Salvator Mundi wasn't displayed in a museum. It was delivered directly to private hands, reportedly transported to the yacht itself. Cultural heritage became a possession, not a public asset. Even the smallest details follow the same philosophy. Where the previous generation displayed wealth through gold plating and ornamentation, MBS favors systems and function. His residences replace decorative excess with high-end automation, climate control, AI-managed interiors, and smart infrastructure down to the bathrooms. Thousands spent on technology where others would spend on spectacle. Not because it's necessary, but because optimization is the real flex. When wealth reaches this level, nothing is accidental, nothing is symbolic, and nothing exists just to look impressive. Every choice reinforces the same message. Power doesn't announce itself, it arranges the world around it. At this level of wealth, personal relationships don't exist in ordinary terms. Mohammed bin Salman can afford privacy, discretion, and access that blur the line between rumor and reality. For a period of time, global media speculated about a connection between him and actress Lindsay Lohan, after she was repeatedly seen traveling between Europe and the Middle East. Officially, it was framed as friendship. Unofficially, the scale of that friendship told its own story. Private flights, secluded estates, and environments where luxury is so extreme, it barely registers as remarkable. But MBS is only one figure inside a much larger ecosystem. When you look at his extended family, the excess multiplies fast. Several royal relatives maintain collections of gold-plated supercars that look almost unreal even by billionaire standards. Lamborghinis wrapped entirely in gold, Mercedes G63 6x6 trucks finished the same way, Rolls-Royce Phantoms, Bentleys, vehicles treated less like transportation and more like accessories. For the younger generation, attention is currency. Social media becomes the stage, and spectacle becomes routine. That spectacle doesn't stop with cars. Exotic animals are woven into the display. Cheetahs, bought for relatively small sums compared to the surrounding wealth, ride in supercars like pets, their heads out the windows as cameras roll. Entire logistics networks exist to support this lifestyle. Twice a year, luxury vehicles are flown from the Middle East to Europe for supercar season, especially in London. Specialized cargo aircraft, sometimes stripped of passenger seating entirely, transport millions in vehicles so their owners never have to drive something familiar. For some, even that isn't enough. Private menageries appear on palace grounds, stocked with giraffes, tigers, rare birds, and endangered species. These aren't zoos open to the public. They're curated environments designed for ownership and image. A single photo, an exotic animal beside a hypercar, can represent more wealth than most people will see in a lifetime. Then, there are the elder power players who embody a different kind of extravagance. Prince Al-Walid bin Talal stands as one of the most famous examples. With a fortune once estimated above $30 billion, his wealth stretches across global hotels, major tech companies, financial institutions, and media networks. His lifestyle reflects that reach: private chefs, vast jewelry collections, and fleets of rare vehicles, including custom Rolls-Royces and diamond-encrusted cars valued in the tens of millions. His most famous possession is a customized Airbus A380, converted into a flying residence. Inside are bedrooms, lounges, a gym, a prayer space finished in gold, and even a throne crafted from solid 24-karat gold. Yet despite the excess, he publicly committed to philanthropy, transferring billions into charitable foundations inspired by global giving initiatives. And then there's Sheikh Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan, whose approach to wealth turns geography itself into a signature. With dozens of palaces across continents and massive land holdings, his most infamous project was an island reshaped so his name could be read from space. Giant canals carved into the land transformed ownership into a permanent mark on the Earth itself. Taken together, this world operates by a different logic. Wealth isn't used to escape reality. It's used to rewrite it. When money reaches this scale, luxury stops being about comfort and becomes about dominance, visibility, and leaving marks that can't be ignored, even from orbit. For Sheikh Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan, cars aren't a hobby. They're an obsession scaled to absurd levels. Since the late 1980s, he's amassed a collection of roughly 400 vehicles, but calling it a car collection barely captures it. Ordinary supercars, limited Ferraris, rare Lamborghinis fade into the background here. What dominates are machines that look like they escaped from engineering fever dreams: oversized SUVs, experimental builds, and one-off creations that exist nowhere else on Earth. The centerpiece is impossible to ignore. A Dodge Power Wagon enlarged nearly 20 times, weighing close to 50 tons and standing about 5 meters tall, higher than most houses. Inside, it's not a vehicle at all, but a structure, complete with multiple rooms, a kitchen, a living space, and even a terrace. It doesn't drive. It doesn't need to. Moving it requires heavy transport, turning the idea of a car into pure symbolism. The collection also includes 7 identical Mercedes-Benz S500s, each painted a different color of the rainbow, one for every day of the week. They weren't bought for variety or resale value. They were a wedding gift. That single detail tells you everything about the scale this family operates on. At one of his Abu Dhabi palaces, Sheikh Hamad casually drives a massive custom-built Jeep Willys around the grounds, a vehicle so large it earned a place in the Guinness Book of Records. Other projects push even further: hybrid machines built from mismatched truck fronts, Jeep bodies, and high-powered engines, created simply because no one told him not to. Most of this fleet doesn't sit in garages. It sleeps inside a windowless steel pyramid on the outskirts of Abu Dhabi, built in 2012. This structure, now known as the Abu Dhabi Car Museum, houses more than 200 historic and custom vehicles under controlled conditions, sealed off from desert heat. It's less a museum than a vault for mechanical excess. That scale of living isn't isolated. Turki bin Abdullah, a Saudi prince barely in his mid-20s, chose Beverly Hills as one of his power statements. His $72 million villa looks less like a residence and more like a private resort. 11 bedrooms, 18 bathrooms, dozens of fireplaces, a cinema, spa, and a garage built for 50 cars. Inside, massive chandeliers dominate rooms finished in marble, bronze, gold, and diamond accents. Nothing here exists for restraint. It exists to overwhelm. The pattern continues in Europe. Mohammed bin Abdulaziz, son of the Saudi king, acquired a $300 million estate in France, filled with marble statues, gold-finished details, private cinemas, and hidden entertainment zones. One room even features a built-in aquarium, turning walls into living displays. These homes aren't designed for living quietly. They're built to remove the concept of limits. Then comes another tier entirely. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, ruler of Dubai and vice president of the UAE, holds a fortune estimated around $15 billion. Among his many properties is a $323 million penthouse, where walls double as cinema screens and silk curtains shimmer like set pieces from a future monarchy film. And even that isn't his primary residence. His main palace is so vast and ornate that full descriptions barely scratch the surface. Every corridor, material, and dimension exists to communicate one thing: total authority. At this level, luxury stops being about comfort or taste. It becomes architecture for power, designed not to impress guests, but to remind everyone who controls the space. Prince Al-Walid bin Talal exists in a category of wealth where architecture and objects become symbols rather than utilities. One of his most striking assets is Kingdom Tower, a futuristic skyscraper valued at roughly $1 billion. Rising over 40 floors, it includes an underground garage built to hold more than 3,000 cars, not as a novelty, but as infrastructure for excess. And the cars themselves reflect the same mindset. For Al-Walid, Swarovski crystals and diamonds aren't accessories, they're finishes. Vehicles are customized with gem-studded interiors and exterior details, turning what most people consider jewelry into bodywork. In Abu Dhabi, power takes a different form. The presidential palace where Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan resided stands as one of the most expensive government residences ever constructed, with costs estimated near $500 million. This isn't simply a place to live, it's a permanent stage. Outside, massive fountains operate like moving sculptures. Inside, towering halls are layered with gold accents, hand-woven carpets, and chandeliers inspired by classical Arabian design, scaled to almost surreal proportions. Even within the ruling family, extremes stand out. Relatives known for commissioning vehicles so oversized and unconventional, they feel closer to industrial art than transportation. Beyond the Middle East, the scale escalates again. In Southeast Asia, the Sultan of Brunei represents one of the most concentrated examples of personal wealth in modern history. With an estimated fortune of $17 billion, he resides in the Istana Nurul Iman, a palace whose name translates to Palace of the Light of Faith. The structure reportedly costs $2 billion, contains around 2,000 rooms, nearly 300 bathrooms, and a banquet hall capable of hosting 5,000 guests. This isn't a residence in the traditional sense. It's an entire government compressed into one building, and these are only the visible fragments. Much of the wealth controlled by royal families, sultans, and princes never appears on public records. Some assets remain undeclared. Others are so vast, they resist clean valuation. Their travel reflects the same reality: private airliners without passenger seats, cargo planes dedicated solely to transporting supercars, yachts designed to host hundreds, and estates larger than luxury hotels. When rest is needed, there's no planning phase. They simply choose a car, a jet, or a yacht and leave, anywhere in the world, instantly. At this level, gold isn't rare. It's functional, just another material woven into daily life. And from the outside, all anyone else can do is watch, calculate, and try to imagine what it feels like when an $8,000 toilet is nothing more than a background detail. This world isn't built on comfort. It's built on scale, access, and a level of freedom most people will never touch. For these rulers, wealth isn't about buying things. It's about removing limits entirely. If this glimpse into the highest tier of luxury surprised you, subscribe to Zenith for more stories from behind closed doors. Because this level of power isn't advertised, and it only gets deeper from here.